jakicrush.
This is Naxat Super Pinball Jaki Crush, the third entry in the Compile-developed Crush trilogy, and the final game I'll be looking at from this great series. There was a WiiWare exclusive entitled Alien Crush Returns, but it was created by a different team. It's also completely lost in the ether, along with Konami's Rebirth series, and everything else that was only available digitally through Nintendo's download service. Gotta love that almighty N, huh? Digital downloads? Get 'em quick before they go the way of the dodo. N-E way. This Naxat pinball game is more of the same. Alien Crush was, well, the alien one. Devil's Crush Crash Dragon's Fury Medical Doctor brought the horror. And this one is Japanese demon-inspired. Wicked, injustice, wrong. That's Jaki. This table certainly reflects that. Though, I wouldn't say there's anything wrong with the game per se, other than its mysterious jump to the Super Famicom, which is a bit of an odd move considering the popularity of the Crush games on the PC Engine, Turbo, Mega Drive, and Genesis. Seriously, it's almost as if they didn't want anyone to know about this terrific series. The naming conventions alone are straight up confusing, specifically when it comes to the many different versions of the second entry. Devil Crash, Devil Crush, Dragon's Fury, Devil Crash MD. Pick a title and stick with it. Maybe toss a number in there. Crush 1, the Alien, 2, Devil, 3, Demon, whatever. I mean, it's fine. The internet exists now, so we can all identify and enjoy our crushes 3 decades later, in their proper order. So right, Jaki Crush. It's okay, but I wouldn't say it's as good as the other entries in the series, for a few reasons. First and foremost, the table doesn't have the greatest flow. There are obstacles everywhere, but it lacks the spacious traversable freedom of its predecessors. The main area stretches 3 screens vertically, similar to Devil's Crush, but there are a lot of zigzags that interfere with ball movement. Ball movement. Narrow passageways are necessary to reach different areas, but they are littered with small enemies who block a lot of mobility. I still really enjoy the game, but it feels a lot more claustrophobic. The pace is a bit slower as well. I'm not sure if this is due to the inherent limitations of the Super Famicom, but even on the fast ball mode, there's a bit of sluggishness all around. The controls and physics are as tight as ever, but there's just something about Jaki Crush that feels lethargic. I captured the majority of this footage on the fast ball mode because the slow option was just so underwhelming, and I couldn't get my projectile to bust through anything. Accompanying this change of pace is a more melodic table theme. Masanobu Tsukamoto took over the music this time around, and Toshiaki Sakota's absence is definitely apparent immediately. Tsukamoto's soundtrack isn't bad by any means, but it certainly is much different. Music has always been a big deal when it comes to these Crush games, and I think this one maintains the quality we've come to expect. Bonus stages return and have some of the best themes in the entire series. These hidden rounds are some of, if not the best I've played so far in any Crush game. A few of them drag out a bit too long, but the use of the system's strengths really shines here. Yes, there's mode 7, of course there is, but jakicrush also has a fair share of scaling, dithering, and rotation effects that make it stand out from its predecessors. This is a gorgeous looking game with beautiful colors, detailed sprites, and lots of variety. The trouble is, these Crush games keep making it tougher and tougher to access those beautiful bonus stages. It took me nearly an hour to learn the table this time around, and a lot more time to see all of these areas. They're lookers, but damn is that main area a bit underwhelming, compared to those from its predecessors. At least the ball is nice to look at, with that nifty character drawn on it. And while I'm yammering on about these great bonus areas, I would like to commend Compile for once again switching out the stages after they have been completed. After you've earned a perfect bonus in one of these rooms, things like additional flippers and enemies get added to increase the challenge. Just be careful, because those top slappers will spank your ball straight down if you're not being careful. And just check this creepy thing out. The music is particularly awesome in this pseudo old arcade space shooter stage. And oh so creepy. It gives me the heebie-jeebie. I love it. When we took a look at Devil's Crush, I had one complaint. The ball seemed to really want to go down in the hole. Keep him on down in the hole. I'm all for a challenge, but jakicrush really doubled down on this. At this point, it's clear that this was an intentional design decision, which is fine, but it doesn't mean I have to like it. I've played jakicrush a lot over the years, and it still takes a lot of effort to reach the upper third of its table. The majority of the time, I'm slumming it down here with this phantom head and its ridiculously confining bumpers. Similarly to Devil's Crush Crash Fury Dragon Optometrist, there are 4 gutters down here. This was fine in the previous entry because it was easy to move around the table, and there are still ways of unlocking barricades, but all of the shit that sits pubic hairs away from your flippers makes for a hectic time. It also feels like there's less going on in general across the main board. Visually, it's impressive, and there are some great effects, such as fog going on, but at the end of the day, this is by far my least favorite table to play. When it comes to options, jakicrush has got 'em. I mentioned the slow and fast ball modes, but there's also a packed options screen stuffed with a music sampler and button layout. Allow me to take a moment to appreciate the configuration of these. The shoulder buttons control the tilt. Beautiful stuff. The password feature also returns from its predecessor for all of you lazy bastards who can't be bothered to sit through this thing until the very end. The developers must have watched my previous video and gone back to '92 in order to toss in a head-to-head mode. It feels good to be heard and make a difference in the world. Multiplayer with options. Huh. Well, I guess you still have to take turns, which is total bullshit. Basically, both multiplayer modes play the same, but this one tallies your points competitively. Pretty pointless if you ask me. I really like how clean the main table is. The Y button displays the score and ball count, but it is tucked away by default. It's very important to learn when to tuck your balls, people. Speaking of balls, there are multiple ball bonuses, which will give you more to play with at the same time. More balls might sound like more fun, but if one goes down to the bottom screen, the camera locks onto it. There's no conceivable way around this, but it kinda sucks balls having to juggle them down in the cesspool of unfair nonsense that is this lower area. Now, it might sound like I'm pretty down on jakicrush, but that's not necessarily the case. This is a worthy addition to the Crush saga that everyone should play, but the other 2 games just had better tables in my opinion. I think I've gotten that point across, since I keep going on about it. The problem is that you'll be spending the majority of your time on that main vertical area, and the flow just doesn't feel as good in this one, at least to me. That being said, if the other 2 games are straight A experiences, I'd still give jakicrush an A-. It's standing on the shoulders of giants. The music is beautiful, the bonus rooms are arguably the best they've ever been, and there are a ton of options. I tend to collect Super Famicom games over SNES ones, which is why these Japanese titles get a lot of attention on this channel. They're usually cheaper, and personally, I prefer the packaging. The label artwork is normally better too, in my opinion. Plus, there are a ton of quality games that didn't get released over here. By the end of the month, we'll be having a look at another Super Famicom horror exclusive, but next time, we're going to move on to a series I've covered a lot on this channel. More Halloween goodness coming at you in a few days, so stay tuned.